Today we are looking at exploring one of the key services on the Azure platform. This is known as the Document Intelligence Service. We all know how important it is to process documents, and if we were to do it with AI, we need the utmost level of accuracy across different kinds of documents. The problem with processing most of the documents is the documents that we typically create, they do not have a formal or a very specified content. Every document is different in itself. So it becomes very challenging for any technology to go ahead and browse through each of the content. Let's see how Azure AI Document Intelligence Service helps us here. This is part of the overall Azure AI services. And the beauty of this service is that it brings in the capabilities of OCR, brings in the capabilities of language models in terms of maybe entity recognition, entity disambiguation, or entity resolution, extracting content from the given text, so on and so forth. So it brings in the richness of the OCR plus LLM plus the traditional capabilities of what the Azure Form Recognizer service earlier gave. Now, why this service is basically termed as a document intelligence service is because of the fact that these models have been trained on enormous amounts of data pertaining to different kinds of documents. Now, these documents could be identity documents, they could be contracts, it could be marriage certificates, it could be a tax statement or a bank statement. So, different formats of these documents in huge corpuses have been taken as the input training data for some of these models, and hence these models are custom built only for entity extraction or entity mining from documents. Thereby, the accuracy is multifold. Now, today we are going to focus on what we know as pre-built models. So, these are pre-built models, let's say for KYC documents or contract documents, where the schema is known. We know at a high level what are the kind of fields that could be present in, let's say, a KYC document or an invoice or a bill. And basis that, with that intelligence, we do the entity extraction of the content in the document. Now, the beauty with document intelligence service also is that it has computer vision plus OCR capabilities. It can process on the document content as well as image content. It can basically, because it is powered by large language models, multilinguality, handwritten documents are also supported because OCR is there. Now, this can be used as a service which is deployed on the Azure cloud, or it can be containerized and deployed in a local environment where even regulatory environments are or regulatory requirements are catered to, right? And how do you actually use this service? There are two forms in which you could use this service. One is directly on the Azure portal. The second thing is via REST APIs on the cloud, where you basically hit the model endpoints with the necessary query, or an SDK format in which you can basically go ahead and look at how this service operates. So today, let me show you a quick demo on how this works on the Azure portal. So I am on the Azure AI Foundry. I have basically created a project here, and in the Azure AI Foundry, there is an AI service that is provisioned. So if you go to the AI Services tab, I have Vision and Document Services, where we have the OCR and the multimodal AI capabilities which are baked in into this. So if I click this, I get into a lot of pre-built models specifically in the context of document management. Now, in today's demo, I am predominantly going to look at how do I process general purpose marriage certificate, which is a generic form marriage certificate. As you know, this can have different formats in different regionalities of the world. So let's see how this processing is done. So I am on the Azure portal. I've basically selected marriage certificate as the pre-built model here. When I basically upload a particular document here for marriage certificate, I also have the ability to define custom query fields. Of course, because this is a pre-built model, there are standard fields. For example, husband, wife is what the model is already giving. Now, in addition to that, I can have additional fields which are part of my schema or the query fields where I can define these, and I am looking at the model to intelligently interpret. If you notice, there'll be no field in, or there'll be no specific label in the document itself which says that marriage certificate number or husband address and so on and so forth. It is a general purpose document which looks something similar to this. It says, so and so person, married to so and so person, residing at so and so, right? So there's no specific field here which calls out, which says husband address, wife address, etc. The models intuitively pick this up because of the way they are trained. And let's run an analysis of this and see how it works. So I've basically uploaded the marriage certificate here. I've defined the query fields for the model to run. Now let's see how the model is actually responding in terms of those specific query fields. Now the model has come back with the response. If you see, there are bounding boxes here which identify how each of the elements have been recognized, and there is also a certain level of accuracy with which these outcomes have come. So if I look at the overall result, I have the fields which I defined was husband, husband address, marriage certificate date, authority, the number, etc., which is showing over here. By default, because it's a pre-built model, it gives it as spouse 1 address, spouse 2 address, spouse 1 first name, and so on. But I can override those fields with the schema that I've given. I also get this output in a JSON format. Now I can download this JSON format and pass this on to the next level of processing that can be done in any seamless integration framework. Now this is how I would do on the Azure portal, but let's say programmatically if I have to do this, how do I do that? So I have a Jupyter notebook here, and in the Jupyter notebook I have basically imported the required libraries. I have tried to basically look at a document intelligence endpoint, a key based authentication to authenticate with the service and invoke the API. I am also doing an additional processing towards the end using OpenAI to generate a sort of a report. That's why I have provisioned an OpenAI model. It's not required for the document intelligence itself, but it just proves an end-to-end use case here. This is the document intelligence client and the Azure OpenAI client. And as you can see, the document intelligence client basically takes the endpoint and the Azure key credential. And once the client has been provisioned, I give a sample certificate, the same marriage certificate that I uploaded in the portal. I give that as an input to this model. And I also predefine the fields. Just like how I defined the schema in the UI, I can predefine these query fields. And as you can see, this is a pre-built layout, which means that I am looking at a model which is custom trained here, especially in the context of marriage certificate. And I just run the analyzer. Once I've run the analyzer, I've got the outcome here, and I extract out the individual fields that were part of the analysis, and here are the necessary fields that have been extracted. In fact, there are no fields with these names, but intuitively the model is able to map these names to the corresponding schema elements and extract out these elements. Now that I have got these documents, I pass the structured data into OpenAI, and I ask OpenAI to basically create a report for me saying that you're a document verifier at a financial services institution. You will publish a report based on the following information. So basically what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the output of the document intelligence service can be fed as an input to an AI's service using Azure OpenAI, and now I am basically able to do the relationship report. So in a nutshell, I have basically looked at how can I automate verification of a standard document and automate that workflow into invoking AI to do something for me.